It's the Brad and John Show.
It is the Brad and John Show, although it's just the Brad and Bill Show this morning because John is away. He's having some construction done at his home. He's doing some major remodeling, so he's hanging out there. And you don't want to be near his house because he has a nail gun and he doesn't know how to use it, Bill. So I would not want to be driving around in
risky.
Yes, in John Combet's neighborhood. So what I have today is I have a guest host. As a matter of fact, I'll tell you the itinerary. Today we've got Bill Eigel, who is running for county executive in 2026. On Thursday, we have Steve Ellman, who is the current county executive, who has now come out that he's running for re-election. We'll talk about that as well, Bill. And then on Friday, we have Jason Law, who is also running for county executive in the 2026. And you know all the gentlemen, correct?
I do. I've met with both of those guys multiple times.
Okay. I've said this to you before. You made an incredible run for the governor. I think you surprised a lot of people by essentially finishing number 2, finishing in front of some people who thought was going to be the heir apparent, the Jay Ashcroft situation. So you came in number 2 right behind Mr. Keogh, correct?
That's correct.
Why would you want to be just county executive? To me, that seems like you're going down in the hierarchy of government.
Well, first of all, actually, from my previous experience as a state senator represents about 180,000 individuals. For me, that was eastern St. Charles County, St. Peter, St. Charles City, the Harvester areas, a little bit of Weldon Spring. St. Charles County executive represents about 430,000 individuals. So from my last job, it's actually more than double the number of constituents that I would be representing. So for me, it's actually a step up. For me also, I mean, this is where I raised a family. This is where I ran a business. And the attraction for me, I think, has always naturally been towards executive positions. You know, I ran my own business after I got out of the Air Force. I found when I was running and working in the Missouri Senate, you know, working in a legislative body where you're one of a number of folks working in a group, the dynamics of that is a lot different than having the opportunity to be an executive in charge of what is currently a very large organization here in St. Charles County. And, you know, I think that St. Charles County has a lot of opportunity, and I'm excited about that. There was a period of time after the governor's race where I was really questioning whether or not I wanted to do any politics. In fact, I think you've teased me about that before, but for me, you know, this is a fantastic county with a lot of opportunity. And I feel like if this is the right time as we get closer to what I see as some serious long-term stagnation like we saw in St. Louis County in the previous 20 years, I think the policies and ideas I'm talking about can avoid that and make sure that St. Charles County really continues to be a statewide leader for the next generation to come.
Bill, I got to tell you something. This thing just come up my screen. We're on Zoom with Bill, and it just says your meeting will end in 10 minutes. So if we get cut off and we're not done, can I give you a quick call on the phone and finish up that way? Okay, we'll do it that way. Okay. Now, the interesting part of this is that you have, and I'm not trying to be mean about this, you have a reputation of sort of being a guy that your way or the highway kind of thing. Is that sort of a true representation of you?
Well, I think I'm pretty well known for how I was saying no a lot in Jefferson City. You know, what's the lesser talked about parts of my Senate resume, if that's what we're talking about, is that, you know, I actually did pass pretty significant pieces of legislation. And I was the primary sponsor for House Bill 2540, which was the largest single year tax cut that we've ever seen in the state of Missouri. It actually brought our income tax rate down, our income tax from 5.9% down to 5.4%, and then it triggered it down to 5.2%. That was the largest single-year tax cut we've ever had in the state. I was the primary sponsor on this. I was the primary sponsor on Senate Bill 26, which put into our state code the Police Officer Bill of Rights to protect him from these frivolous lawsuits that we're seeing from groups like Black Lives Matter and other groups. I was the primary sponsor on that. So that those when people think of what I was doing in Jefferson City, though, of course, they're thinking about the other things when I was saying no. And for every big bill that you get passed, there's a lot of bills that you have to say no to. And the status quo, as I like to describe it, they don't like when there's people that are saying no down there. And so I became kind of a lightning rod for that. And I can tell you that's not an easy place to be, but I'm very proud of the fact that I always was exactly who I promised to be in office. Now, if you fast forward that to St. Charles County right now, You know who needs to be told no a lot more are these cities. The cities that are putting up all these apartment complexes, the cities that are levying all these property taxes, they need to be told no a little bit more. One of my frustrations with Steve Ehlmann, he was actually on the radio just a few days ago talking about the need to reform what the cities can do and pushing back on them. And I'm thinking to myself, well, why haven't we done that for the past 20 years while he's been in office? And so I think that I have actually both of those skill sets to get good things done, but be resistant to the bad things. So it's a little bit different. And yes, I would certainly acknowledge you're correct, Brad, that I get a lot more attention for me saying no than when I was working in the other direction.
Well, and I'm not necessarily saying that's a bad thing, because the opposite side of the coin is you could be a yes man saying, yeah, oh yeah. And I don't think people like that either, but you have a reputation. Matter of fact, I used to kid you about the fact that the Post-Dispatch used to always run that picture of you whenever they did a story about you, a picture of you looking like you were sort of ticked off and ready to go after somebody. You know what I'm saying?
Yes. It's funny. For the past 9 months, I've been meeting with folks all over St. Charles County, a lot of the city aldermen, the county council members here in St. Charles. And, if I kind of refer to that as my public persona, right? And for folks that haven't had a chance to talk to me, sometimes they just see the public persona. And you're right. The Post-Dispatch, they make me look like this, like mean guy and a terrible person. And yeah, there are times when down in Jefferson City, when it's time to say no, there's really no way to be nice about it. It's better just to be firm and strong that we're not going to do this bad thing, and anything you try is not going to work out.
Well, you and I personally have gone back and forth, and to the point where I think you have a very good sense of humor, because sometimes I say funny things about you, and to the point where I always refer back to the infamous, when I went to one of your fundraisers, I got kicked out, which was a funny story, but you and I both laugh about that now, correct?
Absolutely. And listen, Brad, I'll be the first to admit there's a lot of things to laugh at about me. So I make a lot of mistakes, and you won't get very far in life if you can't learn to poke at yourself a little bit. The key is, especially in the political realm, to not take these things too personally when everything in the public discussion can really feel that way.
Okay, here's a weird question for you. Currently, Jason Law is a lieutenant colonel for the St. Louis County Police Department. He's employed. Steve Ehlmann is the county executive, so he's employed. What do you do now? What do you do?
I have had a series of things that I've been doing. So I got out of office, as you know, in January. I termed out. And for the past few months, my wife and I have been wrapping up a real estate portfolio. We actually had a real estate business that we've worked on for the past 20 years. And we've kind of been working. We've been the owner of fourplexes and duplexes that we actually tied that up. I've actually had a chance to do more charity work here in St. Charles County. So I've been volunteering at some of the senior centers around town, just helping out where I can. And I've honestly, that's been fantastic for me, because as busy as I was for the few years before this year, I wasn't able to make time for that. So that's been a real positive. For anybody that's watching the feed, I'm actually wearing my fitness clothing right now because I've gotten involved in some local Christian groups here in the county that are fitness related, that I get up early in the morning, go work out. I know a couple of folks that both you and I know have been involved in those. And, I have actually, believe it or not, I've actually kept my eye out shopping for a new business to own. It just doesn't seem to be the right time with the right opportunity. So this is a little bit of a break for me, and it's the first time in my life where I've had kind of this flexibility. So I'm kind of torn between enjoying this a little bit, but now we're coming up on 10 months out from the primary. It's starting to step up that schedule where I'm going to be busy doing everything from knocking doors to going to more events, and that's going to occupy my time now for probably the next 10 months.
Okay, now, once again, we're under a little gun here because I don't know when we're going to get cut off because of the Zoom thing. But question for you, and if we get cut off, like I said, I'll call you right away and we can go back onto the phone. Okay, if someone said to you, okay, I know Jason Law, and he's been a great law enforcement officer. I know Steve Ehlmann, who's had a variety of jobs. He's been a rep, a senator, a judge, and now a county executive for some time. And here you come along, Bill. Why should I vote for you for county executive in St. Charles County?
Yeah, because of the ideas that I'm talking about. The number one idea, the top I think the top three issues in this race are going to be, one, I'm the only one with a plan to actually reduce our property taxes and personal property taxes in this county. And if we get cut off, we can come back to that and I'll explain that plan. But if you want to see an end to personal property tax, if you want to see a lowering of regular property taxes, I'm the guy that's got a plan to do that. And I'm going to do that by finding efficiencies in our county government and moving those efficiencies over in the form of tax cuts for the people of this county. So on December 1st, which is right around the corner, if you're upset about having to pay rent to government for the crime of owning a car, my number one plank is that St. Charles County will become the first county to not have to pay personal property tax for the crime of owning a vehicle. Number two, we need a moratorium on all these apartment complexes. We have had a huge explosion of apartment complexes, and they don't make sense for a lot of reasons. The biggest reason is that they are a fiscal drain in the sense that every one of those 9,000 units that I talked about that have been built here in the past 15 years, they bring in on average about $1,700 of tax revenue per year. But if they have even one child in that apartment complex, we spend about $17,000 per child in our school district. So that shifts the burden of all of our services onto the single family homes that have been here for a much longer period of time. And that's exacerbating the problem that's even worse. So I'm the only one that has so far proposed a moratorium, a countywide moratorium to include all these cities. That's where we get to telling the cities no, of no more apartment complexes so that we can preserve and focus on the areas of growth that I want to see, which is more in the commercial and the business space. And then number three, we got to be resistant to some of these bad ideas. And I know you refer to it as a NIMBY. I know what that is. But I'm opposed to these data centers in their current format. I think that would be bad for St. Charles County. We need a much different environment if we're going to see that type of investment, because I think the investment, we're going to have less data centers and we're going to start getting away from what I call some of the money pits of St. Charles County that we've gotten into over the past 20 years. The family arena, which is losing us millions of dollars every year. The National Equestrian Center, which is another big money pit. These are private type businesses that somehow got owned by county government that I think are causing huge drain and stopping us from reducing that property tax burden and otherwise being engaged. So these are the things. I'm the only one that's really focusing on these three issues and have a specific plan for all three that are really going to make St. Charles the leader. If St. Charles gets rid of personal property tax, the state will know and be very familiar with St. Charles County, because those are the folks that don't have to pay a personal property tax bill on December 1st. It will drive enormous business growth in our county, while at the same time we're going to be preserving a lot of our identity.
Oh, we just lost him. I tell you what. Hey, let me do this real quick. I'm going to dial him up. We were on Zoom. Normally we don't use Zoom, but Zoom has a time limit on there. So let me see if I can call him. We're almost finished with him, and let me do this. This is live radio. Eigel. Where is he? I should have this up already. Let me see if we do this.
Hey, Brad.
We almost got done, Bill. You were finishing up on point number 3.
Hey, can you hear me?
Yes, I hear you.
I can't hear you.
Okay, now you hear me okay now? You hear me now?
Yep, I can hear you.
Okay.
I can hear you now.
Okay, finish up on point number 3.
I think I was finished. Point number 3 was just that I'm the only one of the 3 candidates that has a specific plan to reduce our property taxes, has a specific plan to put a moratorium on all these apartment complexes. And at the last one, we've got a plan to get away from these money pits in the county and move us towards a more business appropriate environment without having to give away all these tax and property abatements to the big corporations that the cities have been doing probably for the past 15 to 20 years.
Bill, can I just make one comment? And this is something that I've said back and forth to Mike Elam, who I know, and some other people. You talked about the family arena and the equestrian center. I'm very familiar with the family arena because I think the family arena is an asset. Okay, all you have to do is just move it into the parks department, because of the fact that the running joke that, I don't know if you've ever heard this or not, but John and I have a running joke that I drive by the Klondike Park all the time. And one of my favorite things to do is to drive through Klondike Park and take a video of Klondike Park and show how many people, and there are times I've been through Klondike Park and there's been no one in the park. And I'm not talking I was there at 2 o'clock in the morning. I'm talking like 3 in the afternoon on a nice day. So if it's an accounting thing, just move the family arena into the parks department. Essentially say it doesn't have to make any money. Get what I'm saying?
Well, here's the thing. The family arena is not only losing millions of dollars in operating costs every single year, it's also, we have spent more than $30 million to maintain the building itself. And the problem with the family arena is that no matter how much money we put into it, it's going to be obsolete compared to some of the other facilities like the factory down in Chesterfield Valley and other arenas that in other facilities. The casino just put in $73 million into their new convention center. So it's always going to be obsolete. And instead of spending that $30 to $40 million in losses and upkeep, that's a third of what we're paying in personal property taxes countywide. So if I were going around asking each one of the 430,000 people that live in this county, would you like to have a facility that's losing us millions of dollars each year, or put a huge chunk of cash towards bringing down your personal property taxes? I absolutely am confident that I know what answer they would give me. It's reduce our property taxes. And so we got to get away from thinking that the county should be involved in private enterprise like the Family Arena and the National Equestrian Center. It has nothing to do with whether or not I think that those are great attractions for the private sector. They probably are, but they could probably be redeveloped much better and much more efficiently by a private entity, not the county government, which will then compete against other individuals in the private sector with a government-funded subsidy like that. So I'm not a socialist, so we've got to move away from that.
So you're not going to vote for Mondami today? Is that what you're telling me?
No, I'm not voting for Mondami today. No, we're not going down that road.
Okay, Bill, finishing up, and I'm sorry we had a little technical snafu. I didn't think we had a time limit on Zoom, and I just learned my lesson on that. If people would want to get in contact with you, maybe work for you, what's good? Give us a web address, contact information, that kind of stuff.
BillEigel.com is the website. We've had a lot of folks and a lot of traffic through the website. At Bill Eigel on Twitter, or excuse me, on X, not Twitter. And certainly you can email me at bill@BillEigel.com if you want to email me directly. And of course, I'm always on Facebook. So Eigel for Mo on Facebook. I'm the one actually making the comments out on Facebook. So come one, come all. We're going to have a great discussion over the next 10 months. And
Bill, I appreciate you doing this morning. I thought this turned out really well. I learned a lot about you, some things I didn't know. And even though we have this interesting relationships where we sort of kid each other back and forth, I do have a lot. Oh, one last thing, the B2 thing, and talk about this again before we get out of here. You and your wife both were maintenance chiefs on the B2s at Whitman Air Force Base?
Yep. We were both maintenance officers. That's correct.
And so when I say you have hands-on, you literally touch those things on a daily basis, correct?
I literally touch them. In fact, it's interesting. You have to be very careful when you touch the B2. In order to keep the smooth outer skin of the B2 so that you don't have any breaks or angles on there where you get radar deflection, a couple like the panels where the wheels fold into the wells have to come to a very sharp point. In fact, they're so sharp that at the edges of some of the panels on the B2, they're just a few atoms thick. So they can pass right through. If you touch them, it will pass right through your skin and your body. So you have to be very, very careful around the B2. So we don't want to touch them too often, I guess is what I'm saying.
Interesting. Well, thank you for your service, and thank your wife for her service as well, too. Bill, thanks again.
Happy to be here.
Thanks again. We'll put this up. This will be up, but we'll chop this up later. This will be on the bjshow.show, bjshow.co site, as well as on our, we don't put it up on Facebook, but it'll be up on YouTube as well, too, on the bjshow.us site as well, too. Bill, thanks again. Appreciate it.
Yep, you bet. We'll talk soon, Brad. Appreciate it.
That's going to do it for me. John Combest will be back on Monday, but don't forget, on Wednesday we have, tomorrow's Wednesday. I'm messed up. Thursday we have Steve Ellman, who is the current county executive for St. Charles County. And then on Friday we will have another candidate for St. Charles County. That is Jason Law. He'll be here with us on Friday morning.